So what's the deal with the copper Komau and the copper Huna? Why are they so expensive when normal colored versions of this mask are pretty cheap? Let's discuss that, as well as some ways that you could use these masks in your own creations. These two masks are known as the Copper Masks of Victory, and they come in an exclusive semi-translucent copper color. Back in the early 2000s, you could get this mask through a polybag distribution at Legoland Billund, as well as Legoland Windsor. Inside it, you got both of the masks, as well as a piece of cardboard that described that the copper masks are powerful versions of these Konohi that can be found in the caves beneath the island of Motunui. Ironically, this description wasn't canonically correct whatsoever, but you know. Now, you could also obtain this copper Huna, just the copper Huna, not the Komau, the Huna alone. You could get it through a variety of different means. The first method that you could get this, it was done on August 5th, 2001. Certain Toys R Us stores, they gave out a poster when you purchased a Bionicle set. You could then bring this poster back to a Toys R Us on September 8th, 2001, and then you'd receive this mask for free. Although apparently the stores just gave out the mask to anyone who purchased a Bionicle because, well, the poster method's just a little bit convoluted. I'm sure people forgot they even had the poster by the time September rolled around. So giving them as a freebie, yeah, a little bit easier. Additionally, the masks were also given out as a prize during a Toys R Us promotion which challenged the contestants to duel one another using the remote control function on the Manus Crab set. And so yeah, likely the victor was the one who won the mask. Honestly, that sounds like a really fun challenge. The Copper Huna was also included in a German Nestle promotion where cereal boxes contained one Konohi mask as a free gift. I believe it wasn't just the Huna that was available in the cereal boxes. You had a chance to win multiple different masks, but that was one of them that was inside it. And then another way that you could get the Copper Huna was at Legoland Windsor, where they were handed out as a reward for completing a trivia challenge inside the park's clubhouse. And if you thought that was the end of it, nope. On September 2003, 2 whole years later, Blockbuster Video allowed you to buy a Toa Nuva set with the Copper Huna included with them. And this was done to promote the Mask of Light Bionicle movie. And apparently some stores even had these masks available as late as May of 2004. So there was a pretty long history of these things being given out. So yeah, the Copper Huna was made available through a lot of different avenues. But the Copper Komau mask, not so much. There were a lot less ways to obtain that one. And you better believe that that affects the price of this mask. If you want one of those Copper Huna, it's roughly about $8 Australian, which is roughly 5 USD. But you can buy some right now on bricklink.com for even less than that. So thankfully that one's pretty cheap, but the Komau, well, in the last 6 months of sales on Bricklink, it's sold between 194 Australian dollars to about 265 Australian dollars. That's roughly 126 USD to 172 USD. And yeah, if you want to buy one right now on Bricklink, it's even more money. It's closer to 300 or 400 Aussie dollars, which at that point is about 260 United States dollars. Insanity. So yeah man, both are rare and hard to find masks, but one is certainly a lot rarer than the other. Well, if we're going off of price, but you know, the other one was distributed in less means, so yeah. However, with the wider release of that Copper Huna, it does actually have a subtle variant. Now, to figure out what variant of this mask you have to look at the level of transparency on your Copper Huna. If you hold the mask up to some light, the mask is either going to pass a lot of light through it, or very little light. This difference in transparency has to do with where the mask was made. The US versions of this mask, they appear very translucent, while the UK version, it lets a lot less light through it. And instead it remains a lot more opaque. Yeah man, we're getting to that level now where we're shining light through masks to determine where it was made and where it was produced. It is kind of cool, let's be honest. So yeah, if you've got one of these lying around in your collection, it's time to grab a flashlight and figure out which one you got. Taking a look at them on Bricklink, by the way, there's not really that much of a price difference between the two. But if you're curious as to where it was made, that's how you can know. And if you want a 100% complete mask collection, you're gonna need both variants. So yeah, this mask is a bit of a strange one, but honestly, it looks super cool. And the unique color of it sure is pretty. Now, if you wanted to use this mask in a mock, here's a few ways that you could do so. Ashelin has built this awesome version of Ataka, and it uses this wonderful Copper Huna. I like that they're going for a craftsman or blacksmith vibe for this character. It's something about a copper mask, it just works really well for that aesthetic. And also it's a really clever idea to combine copper pieces with sand green pieces. Because, you know, in the real world, copper does actually change color from its lovely metallic look to a more sand green-like color. So partnering these two colors, it just makes sense. Now, it is worth noting that the additional copper armor that we see on this mock, sadly those pieces don't exist in copper. This is a digital mock, so those pieces there have been digitally colored to match that mask. But still, regardless of the fact that you couldn't actually build this in real life, it looks freaking awesome and it is a great way to use that mask. Hey, maybe you could just go out and paint those pieces to match that color, and then you could build this MOC in real life. Or something similar. Regardless though, they've achieved an amazing result with this beautiful creation. And now we got a MOC by Brazy Bonkles, and he's built a MOC that's called Brazy the Collector. So this MOC uses both of the masks. The copper comb out, it's just used for the face. That makes sense, it looks good. But then all of these different hunas, they've been neatly integrated into the body to form armor. Now, given that these are basically the only copper colored pieces, it was a pretty good idea to use them for armor, because there's really not much else you could use. And then that way too, it makes the mask feel a little bit less alien. If this MOC was just a purely black MOC with that Huna as the face, it might not have looked as good. But having copper distributed all throughout the MOC, it starts to look a little better. So if you happen to have a bunch of these Hunas in your collection, maybe you could do something similar to this. Or if you want to spend a little bit of money, maybe you could buy a few and build some beautiful copper armor. So there you go, that's the story behind the Noble Copper Huna and the Noble Copper Komau, and a few different ways that you could use it in your own creations. Do you have this mask? Do you plan on purchasing it? If you do, I'd love to hear what you're going to do with it. Let me know. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Happy building, and bye for now.